Cold dead hands.
Remember that? Charlton Heston's famous line from his 2001 NRA convention speech. At the time, gun control was a defining issue for the Democratic Party. Now, well, it may be a sign of the times that both houses of Congress voted in recent days to allow loaded guns in national parks. 27 Democrats in the Senate and 105 in the House voted for the provision, originally sponsored by Republican Senator Tom Coburn of Oklahoma. It's something that would have been unthinkable in the heyday of the gun rights fight. Jason, what has happened politically in the gun control debate?
Well, I think the gun control lobby got thrown overboard. This legislation, a relatively minor piece of legislation that says people who are already authorized to carry handguns will be able to carry them in national parks if state law allows. And it was attached to a piece of credit card legislation having nothing to do with guns whatsoever. But it is interesting that these Democrats voted in favor of it. This issue has been dogging Democrats for a long time. Some people even say that back in 2000 it cost Al Gore his own state of Tennessee and possibly the election. So I think for now, the Republicans have won this fight.
But this actually is a Democratic win because this reflects a new strategy among Democrats to recruit in traditionally red states candidates who are pro-gun. This is a kind of neuralgic issue. This is a cultural issue, and it's an issue that the Democratic Party, Rahm Emanuel in particular, has wisely chosen not to fight. So when you look
Rahm Emanuel being a former congressman from Illinois who helped plot the 2006 Democratic takeover of Congress, now is Barack Obama's chief of staff.
Yeah, and that's why you have these red state Democrats, people like Hagan in North Carolina and Nelson in Nebraska, John Tester from Montana, all of them Democratic senators, all of them voting for Coburn's amendments.
You know, there was another vote in the House earlier this year on a bill on D.C. voting rights, Washington, D.C. voting rights, where another Republican, John Ensign, attached a similar piece of gun control legislation that allowed guns in Washington, D.C. And that has tied up that bill because the House Democrats don't want it to go forward with that legislation. Brett's point is, you know, the White House and Democratic leaders are basically just surrendered on this issue. Is that right?
But by and large, that is right. I mean, because something powerful is going on here. And let's pitch it forward a little bit. The Republicans themselves are trying to get a piece of this phenomenon. The National Rifle Association just held its convention in Phoenix. Something like 50,000 people were there. Also there was Mitt Romney, John McCain, and Michael Steele, the head of the National Republican Committee. They're trying to figure out what is inside this phenomenon that the Republicans can pull away. They think it's something like the individual against the state, Second Amendment
Yeah, but
rights.
if Brett is right, they're just basically trying to refight 20-year-old debates, and because that's not going to happen in 2000 anymore, because the Democrats aren't going to take the bait and aren't going to try to regulate
the argument at the NRA, even though they've won on that, the NRA, the argument there is that they think that the Obama regulation is going to impose nitpicking regulations on gun owners outside of these court decisions. And they have reason to believe that the Obama administration will do that. And I think that is the sort of mindset that the Republicans are going to try to get a piece of and push back in the other direction.
Jason, how do you explain the ways that the National Rifle Association has been able to prevail? Because it didn't have the media on its side, that's for sure. It didn't have, was it money? Was it just tenacity? How do you explain the victory?
This is an issue that resonates with the American people. Gun ownership has for a long time, sort of like cars that we were speaking about.
Yeah, but not every lobby wins those debates, particularly when you don't have the media on your side.
That's true. But this is an issue where there's a sort of common sense to it, and Americans have common sense. And they realize that this anti-gun lobby is trying to keep guns out of the hands of law-abiding citizens and doing less to keep guns out of the hands of criminals. And they fundamentally reject that.
Very quickly, Brad.
Well, there's also a social phenomenon. There's less crime in America than there was, say, 20, 30 years ago. And a lot of the gun control furies came about during an era of high crime where Democrats said we got to get guns out of people's hands. That's gone. The issue goes away.
I sure wish the business lobby was as effective as the gun lobby.